Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Grindhouse Funhouse. Most of the time on this channel, I'm talking about movies from the past, which obviously I am totally fine with, but every now and then I love to dive into upcoming movie releases or cool events I might check out. I mean, it's always nice to have something to look forward to, am I right? So with that in mind, the first upcoming thing I want to talk about is a documentary that's currently in the works, and it is titled Any Means Necessary, The Story of Cinépix. For those who don't know, Cinépix was a Montreal-based production and distribution company founded in 1962 by André Link and the late John Dunning. Think of them as Canada's answer to Roger Corman. What Corman did with New World's Picture in the States, Cinépix did here. And what they did early on was to fill the gap in Canadian cinemas by importing European films. And then, starting from 1969 up to 1998, they cranked out nearly 60 French and English language movies before being bought out and rebranded as Lionsgate in 1998. Much like Corman, they knew how to stretch a dollar. They were savvy enough to take full advantage of the CFDC, which was the Canadian Film Development Corporation, and the tax shelter funding program rolled out by the Canadian government between 1975 and 1982, which helped push Canadian cinema onto the world stage like never before. Through Cinépix, a lot of major Canadian filmmakers got their start. You got David Cronenberg, Ivan Reitman, George Mihalka, William Fruet, and Denis Héroux, to name a few. And there's a lot of seminal movies that were produced during that time. The key movies during that era include Denis Héroux's Québécois sex comedy like Valérie, L'Initiation, and L'amour humain, which birthed a tiny subgenre known as maple syrup porn, popular between 1969 and 1971. There's David Cronenberg's early body horror movies, Shivers and Rabid. There's one of our most famous comedy, Ivan Reitman's Meatballs. There's George Mihalka's slasher classic, My Bloody Valentine, and of course the Ilsa series, which was pretty bold of them to release at the time. So that's Cinépix's story in a very small nutshell. The upcoming documentary will dig much deeper into all their shenanigans from the 60s through the late 90s, including the events that led to Cinépix's creation, the era of the CFDC and tax shelters, and the company's enduring legacy today. It's being directed by Robert McCallum, whose last project was another very Canadian subject matter with Mr. Dress Up, The Magic of Make-Believe, basically English Canada's version of Sesame Street back in the day. He'll be co-writing it with former Rue Morgue magazine editor Dave Alexander, and it'll be produced by George Mihalka and Susan Curran. George and Susan recently sat down with the almighty Michael Gingold for Rue Morgue magazine while attending this year's Fantasia Film Festival, where George got a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they had a screening of his first movie, Pinball Summer, produced by Cinépix, with most of the cast and crew in attendance. What a fun afternoon! And I'll link that interview in the description below. Production-wise, they're still at the development stage, but a few key interviews have already been done. One with André Link, who's still alive and kicking at 93. He himself received a Lifetime Achievement Award at last year's Fantasia. The award, by the way, was named after Denis Héroux, who, as I mentioned earlier, was there at the beginning of Cinépix. So it was a nice full circle moment. I've got a video from the ceremony featuring André and John Dunning's sons Greg collecting their award. Definitely worth a watch. They'll be doing numerous interviews with key people who work at Cinépix. They have already interviewed the cast and crew of Meatballs, minus Bill Murray. Being such a hard man to pin down, I hope they managed to get him. Obviously, David Cronenberg is an essential interview, and I'm sure they'll make it happen as well. But as Susan Curran said in the Rue Morgue interview, she hasn't fully reached out to the A-list people yet. They're waiting until the finances are fully in place, which is what they're working on right now. So why did I make this video? Because I'm a huge fan of what Cinépix did, producing unforgettable genre movies for fans like me and probably for you too. They were key players in shaping the Canadian film industry, giving chances to filmmakers who might never had one otherwise. And yeah, there's some pride in knowing that all of this happened right here in Montreal, which I think is pretty cool. Another reason I want this documentary to do well is that so Blu-ray labels might be able to dig deeper into their catalog and release some of their movies that are still trapped in VHS purgatory, or that never even had a physical release at all, like the Denis Héroux movies, Le Diable est parmi nous, also known as The Possession of Virginia, Hot Dog Cops, The Vindicator, or a North American release of the Snake Eater trilogy. All of these would be amazing. But we do finally have something to look forward to, the 4K release of the Ilsa trilogy from Kino Lorber after years of fans begging for it. Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS will be released through their Kino Cult label on September 30th. In the meantime, if you want to dive deeper into Cinépix, check out the trailers playlist I put together. You'll get a taste of pretty much everything they made. On Letterboxd, hit up the complete filmography list I created there too. And if you want a real in-depth look at Cinépix history, why not pick up John Dunning's biography, You're Not Dead Until You're Forgotten? That should keep you busy for a while. So that's it. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up so I can get more visibility out there. Subscribe if you haven't, that does help too. I want to hear from you. How hype are you for the upcoming documentary? What's your favorite Cinépix movie and which one do you think is totally underrated? Drop your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for watching and I'll say to you, ciao bye for now.